Hi there guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. My name is Cadence and welcome along to my March bullet journal setup. I wasn't really sure what to do for my theme this month, so I had a look through all my craft supplies and my scrapbooking stuff, and I noticed that I had collected a few stamps from letters and things over the last few years. There weren't very many, but I felt like they were enough to do something with, because I knew that I also had quite a few stickers and washi tape that was also stamp themed, so I thought that would make quite an interesting front cover and theme to do throughout my journal this month. To start with, I decided to make a big stamp to go in the centre of the page, and then decorate around the outside with all the other smaller stamps. I used some spare dot grid paper that I had that was a bit of a creamy colour, rather than doing the design straight onto the brown paper. I kind of wanted it to stand out from the page a bit more. So I started off by marking out the size of my stamp, and then I created a little scene inside with a few different washi stickers. All of these stickers are from the washi tape shop, and you can use my code to get 10% off. It's CadenceC10. And I picked out one of these little church stickers to be sort of the central main focal point. And then in the front from that same set, I used a little sprig of flowers. And then from a separate one, I used a little bicycle to go just to the side there. And then once I'd stuck it all down, to keep it within the stamp confines, I then trimmed off the excess with a craft knife. You just have to make sure you press really lightly to cut through only the washi tape and not through the whole piece of paper. There was one point where I actually did cut all the way through, but I just used the excess washi to stick to the other side just to hold it together. Initially, I wasn't quite sure how to put the title on, but then I remembered that usually stamps have to be marked to show that they are used. I think the process is called franking. So I decided to add this sort of cut off circular shape in the corner, and then within that I wrote the month of March, and I also added a few wiggly lines, and you can see some of those on the real stamps in a couple of places on the page as well when I put those down. I used the grey pen rather than a black pen to write the title and do the markings, because I wanted to sort of differentiate from the outline of the stamp. Generally there's also some sort of number in the corner of a lot of stamps. It's often the price, or whether it's like first or second class or something like that. So I just put 03 in the top corner there because we were on the third month of the year. And I think it worked out really nicely. I think it looks super cute. After I had done that and stuck that down to the center of my page, I then went about arranging some stamps around the edge. I only had 6 real ones that I had saved, and I just decided to use all of them on the front cover. I just wanted it to be a real hodgepodge of loads of different things all over the front cover, lots of little miniature artworks which look so cool together. So in between them I put down a couple of stickers, and I also have this roll of washi tape which has kind of holes punched in it so that when you chop through them they create this deckled edge of the stamp. So that looks really cool as well, so I put a couple of those on. And I'm really pleased with how the overall look of the page came out. I think it's really cute, and I think there's something so lovely about stamps. They're just all these tiny little miniature artworks, almost framed as well, with the edges that are around them. So I really enjoy stamps, and I've got quite a lot of them in my craft supplies, so I thought it was the perfect theme. The next page is my usual calendar page, and I decided to do all of my boxes separately this month, and I thought it would be really cool to do them with a slightly wiggly edge all the way around to represent the stamp shape. So then every box looks like its own little individual stamp. And I really love the effect of that. I think it turned out really cool. Although it did take a little while, but I think it was worth it. Once all those boxes were done, I put all the numbers in and then added my title March at the top. Usually whatever font I use on the front page dictates the font that I use then throughout the rest of the setup. But because of the way I'd done the front cover with it kind of on the stamp, I didn't really know what to do for the rest of the pages that were not the same. So I didn't really have a plan, if I'm honest. I just grabbed my pen and just wrote March in quite a simple, rounded, big font. I didn't want to use black pen because I'd used white for the rest of the page, and I don't know, the sort of calligraphy that I often do just didn't really feel like it matched with this theme. So I'm quite pleased with how that turned out actually, and I gave it a bit of a drop shadow with the grey pen and I think it looked really cool. And then of course in all the spaces around the edge I just filled those up with little stamps. I did use some stamps that were from a moon set, and I did use those initially, but I actually ended up removing those and swapping them out for something else because the edges of the stamps were basically the same colour as the paper, so you couldn't actually tell that they were stamps anymore. So I kind of felt like they were not really fitting with the theme, so yeah, I actually removed those in the end and swapped them to something different. Some pages were a lot easier to decorate than others. This page had quite definite gaps that the stamps would all fit in, so it was quite easy and it didn't take me too long to do this one. But some of the other pages were a bit trickier and I had to sort of fiddle around with different sized and shaped stamps to see how I could fit them in the best. But this one turned out really nice. The section to the right of the page that was left over, I made that into a memories section and I kept it very simple and just took up most of the space, drawing another stamp edge, the same style as I had done on the front, and then giving it that title exactly the same as the sort of franking or stamp marker. Unfortunately, there wasn't really any more room for stamps anywhere else around that, but I think it's fine. The rest of the page was filled up nicely with stamps anyway, so that is all good. Nice, quick and simple setup for that one. The next page was for my to-do list. I have to apologise for the camera angle on this page, unfortunately. I didn't realise that my camera arm was very slowly sinking throughout the filming of this one, so it does go a little bit of an odd angle, so sorry about that. I ended up doing this one with a black pen instead of white to tie in with how I'd done the front cover. So I was going to do a bit of black and a bit of white. I kind of wish I'd actually stuck with the white pen because I think I prefer how that looks on the black paper. And of course on the front page I'd used lighter sort of cream whitish paper, and I think that kind of works with the black pen, but yeah. I don't hate it or anything, I just kind of wish I'd stuck to white pen, but it's fine. Because quite a few of my setups have the potential to just be a title in a page and not really have that much space around for decoration, I decided to make an effort to change the layout of this one. So I used most of the page to have as a space for the to-do list. It's kind of like, as long as I've got the length or most of the length of the page, I'm usually okay with a to-do list. So then in the bottom right hand corner I drew another larger stamp that I could then make in the same way as I did with the front cover, just to mix up the layout a bit because I had a feeling that the page next to it was going to be quite plain. I do like how that one turned out. Again, for the center of the stamp I used a large washi sticker and just trimmed it down so that it fit inside that gap there, and did the marks and put a little number on there as well. I do think that it looked better on the white paper as I did it on the front cover, so I kind of wish I'd done that again, but it's fine, it's not awful or anything, it's just something to bear in mind. And then in the gaps around the page I just filled those in with stickers and washi tape. The adjoining page is my gratitude page, and I'm just doing one line a day on this one. Unfortunately, I actually ended up drawing the border slightly too small. I didn't realise that I had not quite got it in the right place, and I ended up doing 30 days instead of 31 days. So I'll just have to miss the last day, but that's fine. But because I kind of needed most of the page, and then I needed to draw the border as well in the stamp style, that didn't really leave any decoration space at all. So I pretty much just left it as it was, and it's a bit boring, sadly. I think I probably could have made it a bit smaller, but then if I'd made the whole thing smaller and then put stamps all the way around the whole of the outside, it probably would have looked a bit too busy. Bit of a catch-22. I think it's okay, it will serve its purpose this time, it's just not very decorative. The next page is for my habit trackers, and I kept that page the same as I did last month, but this time each of my calendars are marked out inside a little stamp shaped box. Again, with this one, there wasn't a lot of space for decoration. One of the things I'm struggling with having a smaller journal this year is not having as much space for decoration. I really enjoy doing lots of scrapbooking stuff and little collages or drawings and stuff, so I do miss having a larger journal in that respect, but I am really enjoying having it smaller and a smaller thing to carry with me and to use. It just is nicer, smaller, but it's just not as big on the inside as I want it to be. I ended up deciding to go over the center fold line with my stickers so that then I could have stamps going across both sides of the page. And then I think because I felt so bereft of decoration on the last page, I ended up putting more on the other side, and I just cut some of the stamps down in half and decorated the left side of the page that way, which I think almost maybe makes it look a bit too busy now. The adjoining page is for my reading tracker, and I did this for the first time last month and really enjoyed filling it up, so I decided to do it again. Towards the left side of the page I have a little graph. So along the one axis I have got the days of the week, number 1 to 31, and then along the bottom axis I have got the number of pages that I will read. So I've only gone up to 50 in increments of 10, and I know that I'm unlikely to read more than 50 pages in a day, but that's just me, and I know that from last month I didn't really go much beyond 30 pages in a day. So that's probably around about my sweet spot, but I've obviously left the opportunity for more by adding up to 50. Then in the boxes to the right, I have got a top one for the book that I'm reading that month. Underneath that, I've got a little box for a rating, so I will draw in how many stars that I give the book, and then the one under that is just for any notes or comments that I want to make about the book. In the one I did last month, I made that box a little quotes box so that I could write in any quotes that I really liked from the book. I kind of thought I would use that, but I didn't really, so I've kind of left it as notes to leave it more open and just sort of write, maybe like if it's a series, like note down what the next book in the series is and if I want to read it or not, and just things like that. It just leaves it open for anything that I might want to write about it. My final spread is my weekly spread, and I kind of ran out of inspiration by this point for some reason, and my brain had just sort of died and this one kind of went a bit awry. All I really knew was that I wanted to do tabs, and for some reason I decided that the best thing to do would be to do really long, thin boxes, but I kind of just wish that I'd split the page into quarters and done kind of 4 boxes per page. I really don't know why I thought that this was the best option, because they're very narrow and there's plenty of space to write in them, but they're just a bit skinny. But anyway, this is what I ended up with. I also did this page incorrectly because I was doing the tabs on the left side of the page. I always forget that that's going to have an effect on the other side, and obviously there's like a whole chunk of paper missing now. What I needed to do was actually do 6 boxes rather than 7 and drop that first box and then make the last box on the page for Saturday and Sunday, like a weekend box, which I've done plenty of times before, but for some reason the brain was not engaging, and I was not, I did not realise that until I'd actually got past this first page. It's not the end of the world, it just means that this front page is slightly different to the rest of the weekly spreads, because I did have to make that change to fit them all in. And also, the way I laid them out, I'm just not mad about the decoration. Just having the stamps here and there in whatever gaps they sort of fit. I don't know, it looks okay, I don't love it. And it kind of sucks because I really like the using a stamp as a tab idea. I think that worked really nicely. But yeah, for some reason, just the whole rest of the layout let it down a little bit. But as I said before, it's not the end of the world. It will serve its purpose. It's just maybe not as aesthetic as I would like it. But this one was relatively quick to set up once I realised my initial mistake and put that right. It came together really quickly. And yeah, that is my March stamp setup. I'm moderately pleased with how this one turned out. I really love the front cover, and I do love all the stamp stickers that I've used. I think the execution of some of the other pages were a bit clunky and not as nice as I would have liked, but overall I'm still happy with it, and it will still serve me well. It will do what I need it to do and help me organise my life. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully this has given you a little bit of inspiration. If you feel inclined, you can leave a like or a comment, and consider subscribing to my channel if you want to see more arts and crafts and bullet journals. Thanks again, bye!